The wind howled across the frozen plains of Arendor 9, slicing through Captain Elias Carter's heavy coat like tiny invisible knives. Snow whipped against his face, turning the world into a white blur, and each step he took sank deep into the icy crust. He had been stranded for 2 days after his small exploration ship had been caught in a sudden blizzard. The emergency beacon was broken and communication with his crew was impossible. Yet Elias refused to panic. He had survived harsh planets before. This one would be no different. As he trudged forward, scanning the horizon for shelter, he noticed something unusual. Beneath the thick snow, faint movements caught his eye. At first he thought it was a trick of the light, a reflection off the ice. But then a soft groan pierced the wind. Elias's heart quickened. He adjusted his goggles and forced his eyes to focus. There, lying side by side in the snow, were 2 figures, small and delicate. Their skin shimmered with a subtle frost-like glow, and their eyes, closed tight against the cold, were a luminous blue. They were humanoid, but unlike anything Elias had seen before. Their bodies were thin and fragile-looking, yet there was a strange elegance to their posture, even in unconsciousness. Without hesitation, Elias sprinted the last few meters, ignoring the sting of snow against his cheeks. He knelt beside them, brushing snow from their faces and shoulders. Their breathing was shallow, and frost had begun to form on their hair and eyelashes. They were in serious danger. "Hang on," he whispered, pulling his emergency thermal blanket from his pack. He wrapped the larger of the 2 figures first, tucking the smaller one close afterward. He activated his portable heat pack and pressed it against their backs. "Stay with me. I won't let you freeze out here." Minutes passed like hours as Elias worked to revive them. Slowly, the larger figure stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, revealing a vibrant glow that pierced the icy haze around them. She gasped, confused, then looked up at him. Who are you?" Her voice was melodic, almost musical, but weak. "I'm Elias. You're safe now," he said, keeping his voice calm and reassuring. "You've been out here too long. We need to get you somewhere warm." The smaller sister stirred next, her expression wary. She opened her eyes and blinked rapidly, trying to focus on him. "He helps?" she asked, her accent unfamiliar but understandable. "Yes, I'm helping," Elias reassured her. He quickly assessed their condition. Both were shivering violently, their skin nearly frozen to the touch. He knew they wouldn't survive much longer if they stayed in the open. He lifted them carefully, one on each arm. The task was difficult. Their bodies were light but fragile, and the snow beneath him threatened to swallow each step. Yet Elias pressed on, determined to find shelter. He remembered a small rock formation not far from his current position, a natural windbreak that could provide temporary protection from the blizzard. Reaching it, he set them down gently and built a crude snow wall around them, shielding them from the worst of the wind. Then, he activated his portable heat generator, a small device that emitted warmth and light. The sisters shivered less, their bodies slowly absorbing the heat. "Thank you," said the taller one, her voice gaining strength. "Saved us." Elias shook his head. "You would have done the same for me, I think. Let's just focus on getting through this storm first." As the sisters regained strength, Elias studied them carefully. Their skin seemed almost crystalline, reflecting the faint glow of the heat generator. Their hair shimmered like ice in the dim light. They were clearly not from any planet he had catalogued. Yet, despite their advanced appearance, they had been unprepared for the harsh environment, a dangerous oversight for any intelligent species. "Where are we?" the shorter sister asked, her voice trembling slightly. "This cold." "You're on Arendor 9, Elias replied. "It's a remote planet. Very few people come here." He paused. "How did you end up out here?" The taller sister exchanged a glance with the smaller one. "We were fleeing," she said cautiously. "We didn't know it would be so cold," Elias frowned. "Fleeing from what?" Before they could answer, a loud crack echoed across the plain. Snow shifted violently nearby, and Elias instinctively grabbed both sisters, pulling them closer to the shelter. The sound of ice breaking and sliding over itself reminded him how unstable the terrain could be. "They're tracking us," the taller sister whispered, her eyes wide with fear. "We cannot stay long." Elias's mind raced. Whoever or whatever was after them could be dangerous. But he also knew that panicking would only worsen their situation. "We'll find a way to get off this planet safely," he said firmly. "But first we survive this storm." Over the next few hours, Elias and the sisters worked together to strengthen their shelter. Using snow ice and parts of his survival kit, they built a small insulated space that blocked most of the wind. Elias shared his rations, showing them how to melt snow for water. The sisters, though weak, helped as best they could, moving slowly but carefully. As night fell, the wind began to ease slightly, revealing a sky full of stars. Elias looked up, feeling a strange sense of calm despite the danger surrounding them. The sisters lay nearby, huddled together for warmth, and he felt an unfamiliar sense of responsibility. They were relying on him, not just for survival but for guidance. "You are human?" the taller sister asked, suddenly breaking the silence. "Yes," Elias said, nodding. "And you?" "We are Lyra and Nera," the taller sister said, her voice steadier now. "Sisters, Lyra, Nera," Elias repeated, testing the unfamiliar names. "I'll remember that. You're safe with me." Lyra smiled faintly. "We hope so." Elias studied them, thinking about how different their worlds must be. Humans were hardy, adaptable, and able to survive harsh conditions with simple tools and clever thinking. These sisters, despite their advanced appearance and technology, had been vulnerable in a way that only a human could help them overcome. It reminded him why humanity often thrived where others might fail. Hours passed, and the sisters gradually fell asleep, exhausted from exposure and fear. Elias stayed awake, keeping watch, his mind alert for any sign of danger. He knew that surviving one night was only the beginning. Their journey together had just started, and he could sense that it would change all their lives forever. As dawn approached, the wind finally began to die down. Elias allowed himself a brief moment to rest, leaning against a snow-covered boulder. His gaze drifted to the two sisters, peaceful in their sleep, and he felt a quiet determination settle over him. No matter what challenges awaited, he would protect them, he would guide them, and in doing so, he would prove once again why humanity could endure even the harshest conditions, through courage, ingenuity, and compassion. But even as he thought this, a distant shadow moved across the snowy plains, barely visible in the pale morning light. Elias's instincts sharpened. Whatever had forced Lyra and Nera to flee was still out there, and he knew their survival would depend on more than just warmth and shelter. The adventure was only beginning. The morning light filtered weakly through the thick clouds above Arendor 9. Captain Elias Carter was already awake, scanning the horizon for any sign of movement. The snow-covered plains stretched endlessly, broken only by jagged cliffs and frozen ridges. The blizzard had passed, but the cold still cut through the air, sharp and unforgiving. Lyra and Nera stirred from their shallow sleep, blinking in the dim light of dawn. Elias handed them a small metal container of melted snow for water, and they drank carefully, grateful for the warmth it provided. Their movements were slow, still stiff from the cold, but they were alive. That, for Elias, was the most important thing. "We should keep moving," Elias said firmly, "before anyone or anything finds us." Lyra nodded. "Yeah, danger is near. We can feel it." Her voice was calm but carried an underlying tension. Nera shivered, wrapping her glowing arms around herself. "I don't like this planet," she admitted softly. Elias offered a reassuring smile. "None of us do at first, but we'll make it through, together." He lifted his pack, ready to continue their trek. The two sisters followed closely, their trust in him growing with each step. The terrain was treacherous. Sharp ice ridges cut across their path, and deep crevasses lay hidden beneath thin layers of snow. Elias led carefully, testing each step with his walking pole. Several times he had to leap to catch Lyra or Nera as the ice beneath them cracked. Each time he reminded them to stay close and focus on his movements. "You are very careful," Lyra observed as they paused near a particularly jagged ridge. "Most our kind would not survive like this," Elias shrugged. "Humans are used to adapting. We think quickly, improvise, and keep going even when things are hard." He glanced at her, smiling faintly. "And it helps to care about the people you're with." Nera looked up at him with wide, luminous eyes. "You are strong and brave," she hesitated. "We do not have many like you." Elias felt a flicker of pride, but he quickly pushed it aside. There was no time for ego. "You're learning fast," he said. "Keep your eyes open. Watch the snow. Listen for anything unusual." The sisters exchanged glances. They seemed impressed by Elias's confidence and calm in the face of danger. For a species with advanced technology but little experience in harsh environments, his human instincts were invaluable. As they climbed a steep incline, Lyra and Nira began to share more about themselves. Our people travel with machines that protect us, Lyra explained. But sometimes machines fail. Sometimes they cannot feel danger like humans do. Elias nodded. That's why you're here with me. You survived because I was here, and we'll keep surviving because we work together. Nira frowned. Your people are clever. You can see what is not safe. You can plan. Exactly, Elias said. Planning is important, but sometimes you also need courage and quick thinking. That's something humans excel at. He paused. I'll teach you both some of what I know. You'll be able to survive better if we work together. They continued their journey through the icy plains. The wind picked up again, slicing across their faces, but Elias guided them carefully. When they reached a wide frozen lake, he stopped. We have to cross this, but the ice looks thin in places. Step where I step and don't rush. Lyra followed his movements exactly, while Nira hesitated, looking at the shimmering surface nervously. It looks dangerous, she said, her voice trembling slightly. It is, Elias agreed. But I'll be right here. Trust me. He led them across, testing each step before placing his weight down. The ice groaned but held. When they reached the other side safely, Nira let out a relieved laugh and Lyra gave a small approving nod. Elias felt satisfaction in seeing their confidence grow. Later, as they rested near a cluster of jagged rocks, Elias shared some of his rations with them. Simple dried protein bars. But the sisters seemed fascinated by the flavors and textures. They had tasted nothing like it before. In return, Lyra and Nira showed him a small device they carried, a holographic map that projected star systems and planetary data. Elias examined it carefully. This is advanced, he said, but it can't help you survive on a planet like this without skill and caution. You need both, Lyra looked thoughtful. We see now. Our knowledge is incomplete. You are different, Elias smiled. Different, yes. But sometimes different is useful. Sometimes it's what saves your life. Their journey continued and the bond between them strengthened. They learned from one another. Elias taught the sisters how to find shelter among rocks, how to melt ice safely for water, and how to detect dangerous crevasses before stepping. In return, Lyra and Nira showed him how to operate their small energy devices, tools that could light their path, detect heat signatures, or create temporary shields. Despite the challenges, there were moments of laughter. Nira tried to catch falling snowflakes on her tongue, giggling like a child while Lyra quietly observed, occasionally teasing her sister. Elias joined in occasionally, showing them human humor even in the harshest conditions. These moments reminded them all that survival was not only about strength but also about hope and companionship. But the world of Arendor 9 was not forgiving. As afternoon approached, distant howls echoed across the plains. Elias stiffened. That sound. It's a predator. Stay close. Lyra and Nira huddled against him instinctively. It follows us? Lyra whispered, her eyes narrowing. Yes, Elias said. We need to move carefully. Watch me and do exactly as I do. The three of them moved quickly and silently, winding through a narrow canyon where the snow was less deep. The predator's cries grew louder, but Elias used his knowledge of terrain to stay hidden. He noticed shallow footprints in the snow, too large to be human, too irregular to be any species he had catalogued. They hunt in packs, Nira said, her voice tense. We must not be caught, Elias nodded. Then we won't be. Follow my lead and stay alert. Using every skill he had learned over years of exploration, Elias led them through a hidden path that took them away from the predator. They crossed frozen rivers, climbed rocky ridges, and slid down icy slopes, all while staying silent and cautious. Eventually, they reached a sheltered cave tucked beneath a cliffside. Elias set up a small heat generator inside, melting snow to create a source of water. The predator's howls faded in the distance, and for the first time that day, the three of them allowed themselves a moment to breathe. Lyra looked at Elias with admiration. You are remarkable. Your people are strong in ways we did not understand, Elias smiled. Strength comes in many forms. Sometimes it's power, sometimes it's courage, and sometimes it's caring for others. That's why humans survive. Nira crawled closer, her glowing eyes fixed on him. We are grateful. We trust you. The warmth of the cave, The safety from the predator and the growing connection between them created a sense of hope. Elias felt it too. Even in the harshest conditions of Arendor 9, they could survive. Together, humans and aliens, learning from each other, growing stronger. As night fell, Elias kept watch, as he always did. Lyra and Nira slept, their small bodies huddled against each other for warmth. The wind outside moaned through the canyon, but inside the cave there was safety. Elias felt a deep sense of responsibility. These sisters were not just survivors, they were his companions now. And together, they would face whatever challenges this planet threw at them. The stars above glimmered faintly through gaps in the cliff. Elias gazed at them, thinking about the journey ahead. The predator, the cold, and the unknown dangers were still out there. But he also knew this. As long as humans could think, adapt, and care, there was hope. And in that hope, Lyra and Nira had found someone they could trust, and perhaps someone who could guide them to a new future. The adventure was far from over. Tomorrow they would continue their journey, deeper into the icy expanse, but for now they rested, safe and together. And Elias knew that the bond they were forming was stronger than the harsh world around them. Humanity, with all its flaws and strengths, had once again proven that it could endure, through courage, cleverness, and the simple act of caring for others. And in this moment, Elias felt the weight and beauty of that truth more than ever. The cave was quiet except for the occasional drip of melting snow and the soft hum of Elias's portable heat generator. The three travelers had survived another day on Arendor 9, but Elias knew that true safety was still far away. Outside, the icy plains stretched endlessly, full of hidden dangers and unknown predators. Lyra sat near the heat source, her hands glowing faintly as she absorbed warmth from the generator. Nira was examining a small device she had pulled from her pack, her luminous fingers moving with curiosity. Elias watched them, feeling a sense of responsibility stronger than ever. They were fragile in appearance, but there was a quiet strength in their determination to survive. "Tell me about your people," Elias said, finally breaking the silence. "I want to understand who you are and why you were out here alone." Lyra exchanged a glance with Nira. "Our people are explorers like you," she said, "but we usually travel with machines that protect us. Ships, energy shields, things humans do not have," Elias nodded. "Advanced technology is good, but it can't replace survival skills. Humans have survived in harsh worlds without any machines. We adapt, we think fast, we work together. That's why we endure." Nira looked up at him, her eyes wide. "Your people, very brave. You do not rely on machines. You use your mind." "Yes," Elias said, smiling. "And your machines could be useful, but only if we know how to use them in combination with our instincts. That's what I want to teach you." Over the next few hours, the cave became a classroom of sorts. Elias taught the sisters how to start a fire using small friction devices, how to test the ice for stability, and how to move silently to avoid predators. Lyra and Nira were quick learners, absorbing each lesson with amazement and growing confidence. In return, the sisters showed Elias their own skills. Lyra activated a small holographic map, projecting star systems and planetary paths into the cave's space. Elias studied it carefully, fascinated. "You have knowledge that humans do not," he said. "But alone it is not enough. Alone knowledge does not keep you alive," Nira smiled. See now, you are different. You think, act, survive." Elias laughed softly. "That's humans. We survive because we work together and because we never give up. I'll show you more tomorrow." As evening approached, the cave grew colder, and Elias could see the worry returning in Nira's eyes. She shivered, drawing herself closer to Lyra. Elias handed her a thermal blanket. "You're stronger than you think," he said. "Your glow helps you keep warm, but these will help too." Lyra studied him quietly. "You care for us. You protect. We trust you," Elias nodded. "Trust is important. Without it, survival is harder. And right now, trust is the only thing that keeps us alive out here." Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden vibration in the snow outside. Elias stiffened, his hand going to the small energy device at his belt. Lyra and Nira looked at him nervously. "What is it?" Nira whispered. "Something is moving," Elias said quietly. He crawled to the cave entrance, peering out. The snow was swirling in unusual patterns, as if something large and heavy was moving beneath it. His instincts screamed danger. "We have to prepare," he said, retreating into the cave. "Whatever it is, it's hunting us." Lyra and Nira moved quickly, placing small energy shields around the cave entrance. They activated them, creating a faint but visible barrier. Elias worked alongside them, reinforcing the makeshift defense with snow and rock. The shaking grew stronger, and the sound of movement outside was unmistakable now. Something large, powerful, and dangerous was approaching. Elias held a calm expression, even as his heart raced. He had faced predators before, but never one that could sense warmth and movement from such a distance. "Whatever comes," he said, looking at the sisters, "we face it together. Stay close. Trust what I do and you'll be safe." The ground outside cracked suddenly, sending snow sliding down the rocks. Elias stepped back as two massive forms appeared through the ice fog. They were predators, creatures taller than humans with sleek armored bodies and piercing eyes that glowed in the dim light. Their claws were long, capable of tearing through metal. The sisters gasped, their energy shields glowing faintly as they prepared for defense. Elias didn't panic. Instead, he observed. The predators were intelligent. They moved with strategy, circling the cave entrance, testing the barriers. Elias noticed that they hesitated near certain rocks. He had seen this behavior before. Large predators often feared unstable terrain that could collapse under their weight. "Lyra, Nera," he whispered, "get ready to move. Follow my lead. We're going to make them think the cave is empty." The sisters nodded, their trust evident in their eyes. Elias grabbed a handful of snow and small rocks and hurled them strategically outside, creating noise and movement away from the cave. The predators turned, investigating, and Elias led the sisters out through a hidden side path he had noticed earlier. They ran carefully, keeping low, avoiding open spaces. The predators followed at a distance, their glowing eyes cutting through the swirling snow. Elias guided the sisters through narrow crevices and rocky outcrops, making use of every terrain advantage. His human instincts for survival were unmatched, and the sisters marveled at his skill. After what felt like hours, they reached a small plateau overlooking a frozen river. The predators had stopped following, either unable or unwilling to traverse the dangerous ice below. Elias allowed himself a moment of relief. "You see?" he said, breathing heavily. "Even big, powerful creatures can be outsmarted. You just need to think, adapt, and work together." Lyra and Nera looked at him with awe. "You are incredible," Lyra said softly. "We never imagined a human could do this." Elias shook his head. "Not incredible, just human. We survive because we care, because we think, and because we never give up." Nera smiled. "We are lucky. We trust you. You saved us again." They set up a temporary shelter on the plateau using rocks and ice to create a small windbreak. Elias shared his rations and the sisters melted snow for water. As they rested, Lyra and Nera began to open up more about themselves. "Our people often rely too much on technology," Lyra explained. "We can navigate stars, manipulate energy, but we cannot always survive alone in the wild." Elias nodded. "That's where humans shine. We may not have advanced tech, but we survive. We adapt. And when we work together with technology, we can accomplish amazing things." The sisters looked at him with respect, realizing the truth in his words. Their admiration for humans grew, and they began to see Elias not just as a protector but as a teacher and friend. As night fell, Elias kept watch again, his eyes scanning the dark horizon. The predators were gone for now, but the world of Arendor 9 was still full of dangers. The stars above sparkled faintly through the clouds, reminding him of the vast universe waiting to be explored. Lyra and Nera slept nearby, their energy shields dim but active. Elias allowed himself a moment to reflect. The bond between them had grown stronger. They trusted him. They depended on him. And in turn, he had come to care for them deeply. Humanity had once again proven its worth, not through sheer power or advanced technology, but through courage, cleverness, and compassion. Elias felt a sense of pride but also humility. These sisters had shown him that even in a harsh alien world, connection and trust could overcome fear and danger. Tomorrow their journey would continue. The predators, the harsh environment, and unknown threats still awaited. But Elias knew that as long as he, Lyra, and Nera worked together, they could survive. They would face the challenges of Arendor 9 as a team, blending human skill with alien abilities, and perhaps discover new strengths within themselves they had never known before. For now, though, they rested, safe for the moment, and stronger for the journey ahead. The adventure was far from over, but the bonds they were forming would carry them through whatever trials awaited on the frozen plains of Arendor 9. The sun barely pierced the heavy clouds above the frozen plains of Arendor 9, casting pale shadows across the icy landscape. Captain Elias Carter led Lyra and Nera cautiously down the slope of their temporary plateau. The sisters moved closely behind him, their luminous eyes scanning every corner, every shadow, every crack in the ice. The earlier predator encounter had reminded them of the dangers hidden in this frozen world. "We need to find shelter that's more permanent," Elias said, his voice calm but firm. "Temporary caves only last so long, and predators aren't our only problem." Lyra glanced at him. "What else?" "Is there?" she asked, her curiosity mingled with worry. "Other beings," Elias said quietly. "Arendor 9 isn't completely uninhabited. Some factions on this planet are hostile. They see travelers as threats or as prey." Nera's glow dimmed slightly. We fled from them?" "Yes," Lyra whispered. "They want us captured. We do not know why." Elias nodded, understanding the seriousness of the situation. "Then we move carefully. I've learned something from you and you've learned from me. Together we can stay ahead." The trio moved across the plains, following natural windbreaks and avoiding open expanses. Elias's human instincts for survival were sharper than ever. Every step was measured, every path carefully chosen. Lyra and Nera mirrored his actions, their trust in him absolute. As they climbed a ridge near a frozen river, the threat finally revealed itself. In the distance, shapes moved across the ice, tall, armored figures clearly organized and methodical. They carried energy weapons that glowed faintly, and their movements were precise, almost mechanical. The sisters gasped in recognition. They are the ones," Lyra said, her voice tense. "They control this territory. They are searching for us." Elias crouched behind a rocky outcrop, observing. "They've got advanced tech, but they're predictable. They move in formation, stick to patterns. That's something we can use," Nera shivered. "We cannot fight them. Alone." "No," Elias admitted. "But we can outsmart them. Humans survive by thinking, adapting, and using every advantage available. That's what we'll do." He studied the terrain. A network of ice crevasses and narrow rock paths lay nearby. If they could navigate it carefully, the hostile faction would have difficulty following. "We'll split their focus," he explained. "I'll lure them toward the ridge while you two take the safe path behind. Stay close and follow my signals." Lyra and Nera nodded, their trust in Elias unwavering. The three of them moved with precision, staying hidden behind ice formations and rocks. Elias used small decoys, rocks, snow, and light reflections, to draw attention away from the sisters' path. The hostile faction responded predictably, chasing the decoys while the sisters remained unseen. Hours passed, tense and silent, until they reached a hidden valley surrounded by high ice cliffs. Elias set up a temporary shelter using rocks and alien energy devices the sisters had shown him. The valley was shielded from wind and hidden from sight. For the moment, they were safe. Lyra looked at Elias, admiration shining in her eyes. "You think faster than anyone I've ever known. Humans are remarkable." Elias shook his head. "Not remarkable. Just careful, observant, and willing to act. That's what keeps you alive," Nera smiled faintly. "We are grateful. We would not survive without you." Elias felt a sense of pride, but also the weight of responsibility. They had survived predators and the harsh climate, but now the stakes were higher. These hostile beings were intelligent, organized, and determined. One mistake could mean capture, or worse. As night fell, the valley grew colder, but the shelter retained some warmth. Elias, Lyra, and Nera huddled together, conserving heat while staying alert. The sisters activated their energy devices to monitor the perimeter, their glow casting soft light on the icy walls. Elias studied them closely. "We'll need to plan an escape if they find us." "They won't give up easily." Lyra nodded. "We trust your plan. We follow you," Nera added softly. "We hope we survive." Elias smiled reassuringly. "We will. Humans endure, and you two are learning fast. Together we can face anything." The next morning, Elias decided to explore the valley for escape routes. As they moved through narrow passages, he noticed faint markings on the ice, symbols etched carefully, almost like warnings. They track travelers," Lyra whispered. "They mark the paths we take." "Yes," Elias said. But marks can be misread. If we understand their system, we can use it against them. He studied the markings carefully. The hostile faction was organized, predictable, and overconfident. Humans excelled at using observation and cleverness to exploit such traits. Elias formulated a plan. They would use the alien technology the sisters carried, combined with human strategy, to mislead the faction and escape the planet safely. As they prepared, Lyra and Nera shared more about themselves. "We are sisters," Lyra explained. "Our people value connection, loyalty, and knowledge, but we never expected to rely on another species like this." Elias nodded. "That's the key. Survival isn't about strength alone. It's about trust, teamwork, and thinking ahead. Humans survive because we combine all three." Nera looked at him, her glowing eyes bright. "You make us feel safe. We trust you completely." Elias felt the bond strengthen. These sisters were not just survivors, they were his companions, his allies, and now in some way his family. But the world of Arendor 9 was relentless. The sound of movement echoed from above the cliffs. Elias crouched, motioning for the sisters to stay low. Through the icy fog, figures appeared. Hostile beings advancing with precision. "They found us," Lyra whispered. "Yes," Elias said quietly, "but we are ready. Remember the plan. Stay calm, move when I signal, and trust your instincts." He activated one of the sisters' devices, creating a holographic decoy of their group. The hostile faction froze, confused by the unexpected image. Elias used the moment to guide the sisters along a hidden path through the cliffs. The predators or soldiers chased the decoy, buying them precious time. The trio moved quickly, silently, navigating treacherous ice ridges and crevasses. Elias led them to a narrow canyon, where the hostile faction could not follow without risk. The sisters followed closely, their trust and skill evident. They had learned quickly from Elias's teachings, and now, their survival depended on teamwork more than ever. At last, they reached a hidden plateau overlooking a frozen valley. The hostile beings were far below, misled by the decoy. Elias allowed himself a brief moment of relief. "We're safe for now," he said. Lyra and Nera looked at him with awe. "You saved us again," Nera said softly. Elias shook his head. "Not just me. You two helped too. We survived because we worked together." Lyra smiled faintly. "Your people are clever, brave, and compassionate. We understand now. Humans are strong in ways we did not know." Elias nodded. "Strength isn't just about power. It's about thinking, adapting, and caring. That's what keeps humans alive and thriving where others might fail." As night fell, they set up a secure shelter on the plateau. The stars above were faint but visible, twinkling through the cloud cover. Elias kept watch, but he also felt a quiet sense of pride. Humanity had once again proven its worth, not through weapons or machines alone, but through courage, intelligence, and compassion. Lyra and Nera slept nearby, their small bodies huddled together, safe for the moment. Elias reflected on the day's events. The hostile faction had been clever, but humans had been cleverer. With the sisters' unique abilities and his human ingenuity, they had survived another trial. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Arendor 9 was unforgiving, and the hostile faction would not give up easily. But Elias knew one thing. As long as humans could think, adapt, and trust, they could overcome almost anything. And together with Lyra and Nera, they would face the future, whatever it held. The frozen world around them was harsh, dangerous, and unpredictable. But within it, a bond had formed, human and alien united by survival, trust, and courage. And in that bond lay hope, the most powerful force of all. The morning sun barely broke through the icy clouds above Arendor 9, casting a pale glow on the frozen valley below. Captain Elias Carter stood at the edge of the plateau, scanning the horizon with sharp, practiced eyes. Today would be the decisive moment. The hostile faction that had been pursuing Lyra and Nera was determined and organized, but Elias had a plan. And for the first time, the sisters felt a confidence they had never known. "We need to move quickly," Elias said, turning to Lyra and Nera. "They'll be regrouping and tracking us. If we act now, we can escape and put enough distance between us that they won't catch us." Lyra nodded, her glowing eyes fixed on him. "We'd follow you. We trust your plan," Nera added softly. "We stay close. We will do anything to survive." Elias felt the bond between them strengthen further. Survival on Arendor 9 had forged trust, teamwork and respect, but now it would be tested like never before. He led them along a narrow ridge, careful to keep their movements silent. Below, the hostile faction was visible, figures moving in formation across the icy plains, scanning for any sign of the travelers. Elias whispered instructions, guiding the sisters through hidden paths and over ice bridges only humans with experience in extreme environments would trust. Lyra and Nera moved with skill, following his lead. Each step was calculated, each decision careful. Elias had taught them not only survival skills, but the value of observation, intuition, and strategy, the very qualities that made humans resilient across worlds. As they descended toward a narrow canyon, Elias stopped suddenly. "We need a diversion," he whispered. "We'll use your energy devices to create a fake signal. Make them think we went another way." The sisters nodded. Lyra adjusted a small device projecting a holographic decoy of their group across the plain. Nera activated another, creating movement and light that mimicked footsteps. The hostile faction paused, confused by the unexpected activity. "Now," Elias said, signaling for the sisters to move. They slipped through the canyon silently, their movements precise and careful. Behind them, the decoy and holographic signals drew the enemy in a different direction. The canyon narrowed, forcing the faction to slow. Elias led the sisters over a series of ice ledges, each one risky but survivable. They moved with care, trusting their training and instincts. The hostile figures below struggled to follow, hindered by the treacherous terrain and the clever human strategy guiding the escape. Hours passed, and the canyon opened into a hidden valley. Elias paused, surveying the area. This was their chance. The valley was surrounded by cliffs, making it almost impossible for the faction to approach undetected. "Stay here," he whispered. "I'll lure them closer. Then we'll use the valley to our advantage." Lyra and Nera nodded, fear mixed with trust in their human guide. Elias moved carefully, placing small decoys and noises across the snow to attract attention. As expected, the hostile faction followed, unaware that the sisters remained hidden in the valley. When the faction reached the valley entrance, Elias activated a series of energy devices, creating blinding flashes of light and loud sounds that disoriented them. The icy terrain, combined with the distraction, caused the attackers to slip and falter. Elias, moving with human agility and quick thinking, used small but effective strikes to further confuse them. From their hidden position, Lyra and Nera watched, impressed and awed. Elias's courage, strategy, and quick thinking were unmatched. For the first time, they truly understood why humans were such a resilient species. Even against technologically superior foes, the combination of intelligence, adaptability, and courage could turn the tide. The hostile faction, realizing they were outmaneuvered, began to retreat, frustrated and disorganized. Elias gave the signal, and the sisters moved quickly, joining him as they made their way to the far side of the valley. For the first time in days, the danger felt manageable. Lyra looked at Elias with admiration. "You are incredible. You saved us. Again." Elias shook his head. "Not incredible. Just human. We survive because we think, we adapt, and we care. And today your trust and teamwork helped too. We did this together." Nera smiled, her glowing eyes reflecting the soft light of the valley. "We will never forget what you did. We owe you our lives." Elias felt the weight of responsibility but also pride. Humanity's strengths, courage, ingenuity, compassion had proven essential once again. The sisters had learned to survive alongside him, blending their unique abilities with human strategy. Together they had overcome a formidable threat. As the sun set behind the icy cliffs, the trio settled in the valley, their shelter safe for the night. Lyra and Nera huddled close, their trust in Elias absolute. The danger was past for now, but the journey ahead remained uncertain. "We should rest," Elias said. "Tomorrow we start moving toward a location where we can call for help. Somewhere safe where the hostile faction cannot find us," Lyra nodded. "We trust you. We will follow," Nera added. "We want to stay with you." Elias looked at them, understanding the unspoken meaning behind her words. The bond between them had grown deeper than mere survival. It was connection, loyalty, and respect, qualities that defined humanity as much as strength or skill. "You want me to stay?" Elias asked, a faint smile on his lips. Lyra and Nera nodded simultaneously. "We do," they said softly. Elias considered his options. He could return to human space, to his own people, and continue his life as an explorer. But here, on this frozen world, he had found something rare: companionship, trust, and a bond that transcended species. The choice was clear. We'll stay, he said finally. We'll explore this world together. We'll learn from each other, survive together, and see what's beyond the ice. The sisters smiled, their relief and joy evident. You're part of us now, Lyra said. Yes, Nira added. Together, we are strong. The night passed peacefully, the valley shielded from wind and predators. Elias kept watch for a short time, reflecting on the journey. The harsh conditions, the predators, the hostile faction, all had tested him. But humans had triumphed not because of strength alone, but because of intelligence, courage, and compassion. In the morning, the three emerged from their shelter, ready to continue their journey. The frozen plains of Arendor 9 stretched endlessly before them, but now they faced it with confidence. Together, human ingenuity and alien abilities had formed a team capable of overcoming almost any challenge. As they traveled, Elias taught the sisters more about human survival, sharing techniques for navigating ice fields, predicting weather patterns, and improvising shelters. In turn, Lyra and Nira shared their knowledge of energy devices, alien terrain, and advanced strategies. The exchange of skills created a unique synergy, strengthening their bond and increasing their chances of survival. Along the journey, small moments of joy emerged. Nira laughed as she attempted to catch snowflakes on her tongue, while Lyra watched with a faint smile. Elias joined in occasionally, showing the sisters the simple pleasures humans often enjoyed even in harsh environments. These moments, though brief, reminded them that survival was not only about strength but also hope, connection, and trust. Days passed, and the valley behind them disappeared beneath the horizon. The hostile faction was left far behind, unable to navigate the terrain as skillfully or adapt as quickly. The trio's journey became a testament to the strengths of humanity: courage in the face of danger, intelligence to outsmart stronger foes, and compassion to inspire trust and loyalty. Finally, they reached a plateau overlooking a vast frozen lake, a natural landing spot for any ship or transport that might come to rescue them. Elias set up a signal device using the sisters' technology combined with his own knowledge, sending a coded message that could reach human explorers nearby. Lyra and Nira watched him, admiration shining in their eyes. You are truly human, Lyra said. Brave, clever, and kind, Elias smiled. And you are incredible too. Strong, resourceful, and loyal. Together we can face anything. As the signal activated, a distant glimmer appeared on the horizon, human ships responding to the call. Elias looked at the sisters, knowing the choice he had made was right. He would stay with them, bridging two worlds, learning and teaching, surviving together. The frozen world of Arendor 9 had tested them all, but humanity's unique qualities, courage, ingenuity, and empathy, had once again proven essential. Elias, Lyra, and Nira would continue their journey, exploring, surviving, and building a future together. The adventure had begun with a simple act of compassion, rescuing two alien sisters from the snow, but it ended with something far greater: trust, friendship, and the enduring power of human resilience. And as the sun rose over the icy plains, Elias knew that this was only the beginning. With courage, intelligence, and compassion guiding them, they could face any challenge and thrive in a universe full of unknowns. Humanity had once again shone brightly, proving that even in the coldest, harshest worlds, the heart of a human could warm and guide the way.